Private Walker slammed a fresh energy cell into his last 55. Poking the laser rifle around the corner of the burnt-out lumberjack IFV he was using as cover, he fired several more beams at the entrenched Shilmer on the ridgeline. Whenever he hit anything or not, he couldn't tell, as he immediately dropped back behind cover. Just milliseconds later, return fire from the squids scorched the ground behind where his head had been. "This is Tango 5-1 Sunray," he heard Captain Ellison scream into the radio. "We are under attack by a heavily entrenched Shimla position at grid 88 Bravo. We need immediate air support. Over." "That's a negative, 5-1. The all-too-calm voice of command replied. "All air units are currently engaged in protecting the landers. You're on your own for now. Over." "Roger, command. This is 5-1 out." Switching off the radio, the captain swore. Walker couldn't blame him. The unit, after destroying a Confederate anti-air battery and liberating a native village from the squids, had set off to rendezvous with the rest of the Imperial Army at the projected landing zone. However, the convoy had come under fire from a nearby ridgeline. The Shimla had attacked with heavy plasma cannons, destroying many of the unit's vehicles before they could react, and bringing their own firepower to bear. As such, the survivors were now pinned down, unable to move until the enemy could be dislodged. The air reverberated with the sound of a vehicle-mounted railgun being fired. Turning his head, Walker saw one of the few surviving tanks fire his gun at the estimated location of the Shimla positions. An answering stream of plasma scorched the vehicle's hull, but the tank valiantly kept shooting. Peeking out from behind cover again, Walker fired a couple of shots before dropping back. He was glad for his respirator and thermal vision, as it made fighting in the clouds of smoke and dust much easier. Unfortunately, those same clouds of dust also reflected off his laser beams and gave away his position, meaning that he couldn't stay exposed for too long while firing. The noise from the battle was tremendous. The chatter of submachine guns and the zapper laser impacts reverberated around the valley, while explosions and reports of heavy railgun fire sent shockwaves through the air that he felt through his armor. Looking over to his right, the private saw Corporal Shell and some other soldiers crash behind an overturned Red Cat armored car. "Get some!" Shell screamed, while firing his Car 111 wildly at the enemy. "You snake-armed squids, I'll kill you all!" A flurry of lasers sent in reply made the corporal duck back behind the relative safety of the Red Cat's chassis. Walker wanted to slam his head against the lumberjack's hull in frustration. The situation was hopeless. The unit was outgunned and had no hope of air support while the landings were taking place. Suddenly, the radio crackled again. "Tango 1, stand by. I have naval air assets available for tasking. Over." "Roger, command," Captain Ellison replied. The relief he was feeling audible in his response. "What you got for us? Over." "Attack Corvette Sabre is on standby in your area. Over." "Roger, command. Can you patch us through? Over." "Affirmative, 5-1. Change to channel 7. Over." "Thank you, command. This is 5-1 Sunray out." Changing the channel as instructed, Ellison spoke again. "Corvette Sabre, this is Tango 1 Sunray. We are pinned down by enemy forces on ridgeline 37 at grid 88 Bravo. Requesting fire mission. Danger close. Over." "Roger, 5-1. Acknowledging request for fire mission. Stand by. We are 5 minutes out. Over." "Roger, Sabre. Be advised targets will be marked by red smoke. Over." "Copy, 5-1. This is Sabre out." Ensign Moore switched our radio to the Sabre's internal channel. "Captain, Tango 1 reports that targets on Ridge 37 will be marked by red smoke." "Thank you, Ensign," Lieutenant Commander Petrov replied. The spacecraft commander turned back to the front of the warship's cramped bridge. "Navigation, plot us a course over the target." "Aye, Captain," the navigator replied. "Grid 88 Bravo is on heading 230. "Right. Helm, steer course 230. "Aye, sir," Lieutenant Abra responded from his station next to the navigator. "Steering course 230. ETA grid 88 Bravo, 5 minutes. Petrov shifted in his seat, trying to stay comfortable in his baggy flight suit, as the pilot slowly swung the 300-meter-long Starship onto the new heading. While the Blade-class attack corvettes are more maneuverable in atmosphere than the Navy's landing craft, they still handle like a beached whale. "Weapons, this is the bridge," Petrov spoke into his radio. "We have been tasked with destroying entrenched squid infantry at grid 88 Bravo. Targets will be marked by red smoke." "Aye, sir," the ship's weapons officer replied. Commander Petrov stared out at the Sabre's panoramic, aerodynamically sloped windows as the craft flew towards the target area. Below the airborne spacecraft were thin wisps of clouds, and below them was the ground. Somewhere on that ground, the commander mused, was a pinned-down mechanized infantry unit fighting for survival. He hoped his ship would be able to tip the odds in their favor. Inside the hold of the corvette, the ship's small crew scurried about, ensuring the spacecraft's plethora of weapons were ready for action. Safety pins were disengaged, ammunition belts were connected, and missiles were fed into their launchers. From her station beside the captain, Ensign Moore gave another report. Captain, Tango 5-1 reports that the target has been marked by red smoke. Thank you, Ensign. Weapons, confirm you see the red smoke. Situated on the lower gun deck, the firing room of the Sabre was eerily calm compared to the bustle of the rest of the ship. Here, the only noises were the hum of computers, the muffled drone of the spacecraft's engines, and the radio chatter of the firing team. At the front of the tiny room, manning a control console in the center of the bulkhead, Lieutenant Gupta stared at a computer screen. The screen was showing the feed from one of the corvette's external infrared cameras. The light from the display reflected off the visor of the naval astronaut's helmet as he studied the video feed for any sign of the red smoke. Weapons to Captain, Gupta responded after a few moments. I have eyes on the red smoke. Roger. You may fire as soon as we're in range. Copy, the weapons officer replied. Guns, confirm you have eyes on the red smoke. Affirmative. I have eyes on the red smoke, came the response from the Starship's railgun operator. Roger. Pressing a button on his console, the lieutenant opened the gun ports along the starboard side of the Sabre's hull, allowing the powerful railguns to poke out from their recesses. Checking his screen, Gupta saw that the plume of thick, red smoke that marked the target area was now within range of the Sabre's guns. Captain, we are now in range. Firing on targets now. Guns, you are cleared hot. Fire for effect. Over. Affirmative. Cleared hot for targets marked by red smoke. Firing for effect. Out. The Sabre shuddered as one of the powerful starboard railgun cannons fired, sending a sabot round hurling towards the ground. Shot over. Shot out. Gupta watched through his camera as the round impacted the ground marked by the red smoke, sending a geyser of dirt and detritus spraying into the air. Splash over, the lieutenant reported. Splash out. Good effect on target. Repeat, over. Affirmative. Repeat, out. The attack corvette vibrated with a rhythmic thrumming as the railgun sped round after round of the entrenched Shimla. The weapons officer watched through his screen with listless attachment, noting how each impact sent soil spewing into the air. The only thought that crossed his mind was how each impact meant that another group of enemy soldiers would be neutralized. To Private Walker, it looked like the ridgeline had spontaneously exploded. Plumes of dirt and clouds of shrapnel from destroyed plasma cannons spewed into the sky as the Sabre mercilessly pummeled the entrenched Shimla. Each impact sent shockwaves through the ground that rattled the private's bones. After about a minute of aerial bombardment, the barrage stopped. Peeking around the corner of the lumberjack, the soldier peered through his rifle scope. A cloud of smoke and slowly settling dirt hung over the ridgeline. Flicking on his thermal goggles, Walker surveyed the recently churned hillside, keeping an alert eye open for enemy movement. To his relief, there was nothing. Clear, he called out. Other soldiers reporting the same. Sabre, this is 5-1 Sunray, he heard Captain Ellison over the radio. All targets destroyed, thanks for the assist. Roger, 5-1, the warship's radio officer replied. Glad we could help. This is Sabre, out. Looking up, Walker watched as a barely visible grey shape slowly circled around the battleground. After a few moments, it changed course and slowly flew off. As he watched the attack corvette depart, the private wondered who first proposed the idea of using space-capable warships as fire support platforms. Whoever it was, he tipped his hat to them. After all, the concept, if nothing else, was very damn effective.